Martin. Welcome to episode 99 of Illuminated Rounds, and happy Valentine's Day.
Well, thank you very much, Dave.
They say that you should spend the day with the one you love. Us and ASL is what we should be doing.
Absolutely. That's the way it is.
Yeah. You've had a haircut?
Yes, yeah. I got it cut quite short, quite dramatic. Yeah, you can see the lice and the nits moving around in there now. It's like Murchhausen's zoo on my head. Brilliant.
I see what you've done there. That's very, very clever. You've tied that in to our designer of the week, if you like. So we are picking a scenario. Well, in fact, we're not picking. The designer himself, Chaz Smith, has picked a scenario for us to play in the first round of the Illuminated Rounds tournament. The draw has been made. We'll run through that later on. The draw has been made. We have 16 players, 16 patrons in the tournament. Very exciting. We're going to be playing the scenario Steamroller from Crucible of Steel. We haven't played it. I don't think it's a medium-sized scenario, so something to get your teeth into.
Absolutely.
And we have a range of players from relatively new all the way up to really quite good. And we obviously sit right in the middle of that, smack bang in the middle of that. So that's exciting.
Neither new nor good.
We've got no excuses to win or lose. We've got nothing.
Yeah.
So what else have you been up to this week?
I've been trying to sort out my mum's care. That's been the main thing. Meeting social workers and things like that. I played Tim once. Actually, that wasn't this week. It was the week before, and I beat Tim, and then he beat me. So in the last two scenarios, actually the most recent one, he won. I've been playing Steve Hall, who's a patron of ours. So it's been a little bit of ASL on the side.
Right, excellent. And of course, in between all that, you played and I played Hill 621.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Could you forget about that? That was quite the adventure, wasn't it? We've played it before. You were the Germans last time, and I think
you thrashed me.
Yeah.
You smashed me to tiny pieces. I think it was relatively early in our ASL careers, and you definitely had the edge over me for a long time.
Yeah, and we're going to go through that game. And we'll talk a little bit about the Hill 621 kind of scenarios and the like. We got some ideas for our episode 100. So the scenario we're going to play is a blind scenario, double blind scenario, which we haven't done many. We have done one before. We may have even done this one. I don't remember. I think we did a double blind scenario once before.
We did, yeah.
Yeah, so Toby has picked this for us. And I mean, the good thing about double blind is, even if we did, I don't remember it. I don't know if you remember it very well.
Yeah, and the victory conditions will change anyway. So.
Exactly that. So we're going to do that, and Toby will lend some commentary. I'm hoping that what we can do as well is we'll do it as a live. We won't play live, but we will do the show in a live fashion. So we will take some time, because it's quite a reasonably sized scenario that we're going to be playing. But we'll publish ahead of time when we are going to broadcast, and we will get some audience interaction if that's.
So you do like a sort of a premiere? Is that what YouTube?
No. So I think actually go live. So.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So you and I will be live, and there'll be the chat, and we can talk to chat.
That'd be nice. Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that as our 100th episode, and we would encourage everybody to come along. And if you can't, then just watch it as a premiere, or not watch it as a premiere. Watch it with the live chat enabled, so that you then see the chat kind of coming in at the same time, so you can see what was happening and follow along.
You can see which questions we're ignoring.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. Hill 621. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Should we go through it?
All right. Happy to go through it. Yeah.
Let's just set this up. Okay. So here's the setup. So for those that don't know, the Germans set up with I think it's about 8 squads, isn't it?
Yes.
And they have to set up on any 4 hex of the middle board. You have a ridiculous number of
48, I think it is. 48 squads.
48 squads. So you set up with a big kill stack, and you are in line of sight of quite a lot of this stuff. And then the Germans have to take a morale check at the start of the game that might break all or none of them.
It might be worth saying that the kill stack is not as incredibly powerful as you might think. It's only really the 2 medium machine guns that have the range to do anything. But with a minus, is it a -1 leader? You're mostly in woods, aren't you? It is potentially quite dangerous.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And I think the key thing, I think, if you read up on Hill 621, the problem with the scenario is that if you have a bad first pre-game roll and you break, I don't know, 6 out of the 8, which is possible to do, you are in all sorts of trouble as the Germans. You do get the first turn, and those units aren't DM'd, so there's a reasonable chance.
They get 2 full chances to bring them back, don't they? Because they'll have their first rally phase, even if they break, they've their first rally phase in German turn 1.
Yep.
And then it's the Russian turn. Unless the Russians were able to DM them with fire, which is quite difficult.
And the Germans have a leader with the broken units.
Yes, yeah.
So yes.
Oh yes, because of course you won't get an opportunity. No, you're quite correct. Yes, only if they had a leader available.
Yeah. So the question there is do you stack your leader in with a whole bunch of squads to make sure that you do get the 2 chances, and that's definitely an option. Do you put them very close to the? You already get 2 leaders as well to start with, so you don't have a lot. And the problem with the scenario is that if you know it can be broken right at the start, then it is difficult to know, well, okay, at what point do we just call it right at the start, and do we say, okay, well, look, if you break 6, 7, 8 squads, then we should just re-roll. And if that's the case, why doesn't the scenario, and I know that this is because it's probably an accurate representation of what Squad Leader's version had, but why wouldn't you just say the most you can do is break 5 squads or something? I don't know, or make 6 rolls or something. I don't know. And maybe
I think rules like that might help to balance the beginning of the scenario, but also take away from like kind of the narrative, the scenario as a narrative. Like, I mean, this is meant to represent a retreating force,
right?
And it is meant to be grim. This is a Russian force boiling over from success, and these are the remnants running away.
Right.
So I think kind of it does create a lot of drama.
Yeah.
And even if those German units are broken, it's still quite difficult to get anywhere near the hill before the German reinforcements start to arrive. I think it's
you are not a whiner by any stretch. You were whining before you'd set up your first Russian piece. It was incredible.
Do you know? All I could see was difficulties, and as soon as the game started, and all those difficulties that I foresaw I would face, I kind of faced. So yeah, I apologise for my whining.
It was hilarious. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I got nothing to, you can whine all you want. There's no issue at all. When I'm sitting there with 8 squads, and they're not particularly great squads either, and half of them are broken. Yeah, and you have 48 squads, and you're the one whining. I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
So
no, I 100% get the point. Yeah.
So anyway. So this was my setup. I deployed a little bit. I think I surprised you with something. I don't know what. I think you were surprised. Maybe this unit up here.
I think the flanks altogether. I was surprised that you'd bothered with. I thought I expected you to be in positions which you would be easier for you to withdraw from.
And do you know something? What I did when I set this up, I didn't think closely enough about the victory. I thought, just set up a line abreast almost and stop you guys coming through. I kind of forgot that the actual victory condition is 5 of these hexes down here. And the problem there is that it's the 5 level 3.
Level 3.
Yeah. And the problem with that is that that guy out on the left there, he it wasn't required, was it? He's not going to get back across here to guard these hexes.
Although he has quite an interesting story, which we'll obviously see as the game progresses.
He does. Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's it. So anyway, we move on. The morale checks went pretty good. I mean, I think I've got to say they went pretty good. This was, I think, after the first turn. And
this is after the Russian turn one. Yeah.
So still got a little bit broken. You kind of DM'd a little bit. You interestingly, the guy that was here in this hex here in whatever that is, is it O3,
I
next
think
to the
so.
sniper counter. I don't, Martin, can you see my cursor? I don't know if you can see.
It's O3.
Yeah. That guy, you DM'd him again, and it let me kind of bring him back again to try and rally with the squad. I want to do a vassal and kind of double click this stack to open it up.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's not going to work. So I was able to bring him back, and I've got one DM guy left here, and I think there was maybe this guy here as well, right at the back of the next to the hill. He might be broken as well, I think, because I think at some point you were worried about someone taking shots that was already broken, and I didn't want to say to you,
yes,
he was broken, but you were very, very nervous about him. The OBA came down. I got the OBA down, which was great.
So my thinking over on that side, I was very conscious that you've got 4 tanks coming on, and I have no anti-tank defense apart from close combat. I have no anti-tank defense. You can come on either side, but I suspected you'd always come on that side. And my plan was just to get into the woods where I might have a little bit of protection from the tanks.
Yeah.
And of course, the OBA came down there, so no protection. I've got to get out into the open and wait for you to overrun me. So that was something I felt would go wrong. That was one of the things I was whinging about in my mind from the beginning. And there it is. It's happening. It's that my nightmare is coming true in front of my face.
Right. And meanwhile, your kill stack was definitely
very successful, wasn't it? It actually killed, didn't it? I think it was they were only 4 firepower attacks in the end. I think
that's right.
But they got rate of fire like, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 times or whatever.
Exactly.
Broke and then casualty reduced and then destroyed.
The other thing that happened right at the start of the game was I got a sniper. Sniper's on a 4, and I had a choice of 2 different stacks. I could hit a stack with 1 unit or a stack with 3 units, and I greedily went for the one with 3 units. It was my turn. I think it was on my turn. My prep fire shot maybe that got the sniper, and suddenly what happened was you were able to do a sniper attack or a sniper check back.
That's right. Yeah,
you killed my sniper. You brought it down to a 3.
And that never happens. I mean, it's so rare you get an opportunity to actually do a sniper check, and when you do, it's like on a 2 or a 3.
Yeah,
but actually, it was a reasonably good chance.
That's
right. I did like 4 or 5 or something, but brought them down. Exactly. And I think that was really impactful because I just rolled 4s for the rest of the game, didn't I?
You did. Sorry, to give you an idea of the size of the scenario as well, you rolled 11 snake eyes in the game. You rolled 16 double 6s. I rolled 7 snake eyes and 8 double 6s. So you definitely didn't get the luck in terms of the dice for the double 6s. Excuse me. So it was an interesting scenario in terms of you know that there's going to be a lot of dice rolls. There's going to be a lot of and hitting the sniper so early has a big effect, I think. And like you say, you didn't pass many morale checks. I've got to say, you were definitely. You rolled a lot of 7s on a 1 checks, didn't you? And a lot of 8s on normal morale checks and things like that. So you've pushed on hard. The OBA's come down.
Yeah, I was going to say though, it is a game where you can take those outrageous bad luck. You can absorb it when you've got 48 squads, can't you? And you've got dozens of tanks in the end on the game.
That's
you
right.
say I pushed hard, but I was very, very conscious. I didn't do a human wave. I thought about doing human waves. Right. I thought the safest thing to do would be to move all the squads independently because you did have fire lanes and all kinds of stuff.
Yep.
So that's what I chose to do. Yeah.
So I brought the tanks on.
Turn 2.
So I brought the tanks on the right hand side.
Chaos.
And you jumped onto one of them straight away. Past your Patsy, past your you got your CCV, you got in there, you killed him. And what happens, you brought one of your tanks on around the top and brought him onto this hill, and you brought 2 of the others around the kind of the road and parked them up here just to see, and it was a great move. So my aim was, okay, well I'll try and take out the one on the hill first, because I felt that was the most dangerous. and then I would concentrate. So all three of these tanks shot at your
Yes.
your tank, and then they all took intensive fire shots. Everything missed. Then the gun at the top took a shot as well, and that missed. And I was like, well, okay, now I'm in all sorts of trouble because you were in a brilliant position here. Like I said, you'd got round the back and taken this tank out here. I think you must have felt quite good at this point.
I was quite pleased to have taken out a tank in close combat. I was quite lucky the tank on the hill. I was glad the tank on the hill was still intact.
Yep.
But those three tanks in the centre all have line of sight to the forward tank that you've got, and some of them perhaps to the second one. And I was just thinking, I'll lose the tank on the hill, but at some point you're going to have, if you want to bring the tanks forward, I'm in a good position to, if you're going to attack the next group of Russians, I'm in quite a good position to.
That's right.
To pick you off.
That's right. Meanwhile, the OBA has started to be moved around for the next round. I want to basically bring it down almost on myself here.
Yes. Yes.
And I mean, you can see that the Russians have been thinned out a little bit.
Yeah. It's really difficult because you want to have kind of be in groups for big firepower shots, but you can see how vulnerable some of my forces are to a good OBA landing.
That's right.
And it's really, really difficult, and it's almost embarrassing that it's difficult because you've got 48 squads, and it doesn't matter if some of them get KIA'd or broken. But
that's right.
It's a difficult scenario, and you've only got 3 leaders.
Yep. So and that's the classic thing, isn't it? You end up with broken squads everywhere that can't rally, and they're just slowly getting left behind. No, I definitely felt your pain.
They start to disrupt as well, don't they? Because it's not a massively high ELR for the Russians.
That's right. Yeah, I think your ELR is 3. Yeah.
Oh, it's 3. Okay. But you start to get a few disruptions.
That's right. That's right. So, you were a bit unlucky with one of your malfunctions. I think you broke that fairly early on. But your kill stack is still kind of controlling everything.
I'm trying to keep you off the slopes. That's the idea now, is that if you can retreat onto the slopes, he's there and he can make that difficult for you.
My 9-2 got wounded. I think that was kind of a problem for me.
I'm desperately trying to sort that radio out.
Yes.
That radio will remain difficult for some time.
Yeah, exactly. So moving on, we I don't actually know exactly what turn this is, but so we'll have to.
This is the end of turn 2.
No.
This must be the end of turn 3.
Well, I've got my new reinforcements coming on here, so it might be 4.
Okay. Yeah.
But what we can see is that every one of my tanks was destroyed.
Oh, right. So I thought we were talking about the last picture, so we've moved on, haven't we? Yeah. Okay.
So one got hit by it intensified and mouthed its weapon. One was taken out by a critical hit from you. One was taken out by your close combat. One was taken. I think it was like one of each. So basically, everyone. You did.
If there would have been mines, one of them would have rolled over some mines as well.
Yeah. You mouthed your tank at the top there on that hill, and I think immobilized.
And it's immobile as well. I think.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Meanwhile, the gun down here has decided it's going to save the day, and was basically just shooting, hitting, killing. 75L down here was doing great jobs.
But against the infantry, not against the.
No, well, against the tank, there was it took a tank out in the middle of the.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
But it was doing great jobs. But meanwhile, you're getting quite close to the hill here. The guy on the left hand side has kind of run around to the right, and I think I'm struggling here. The OBA has been taken out of now. I think you've got the radio. At this point.
I think you got a red ball first, didn't you? And then, then it's sort of being overrun. I think the radio might strictly still be in that wood in the centre. I'm not sure.
Right. So on come on come more reinforcements for the Germans. And I decided to try and bring them and kind of come around the left-hand side. So you've got your trucks coming on the left-hand side, a little bit unguarded. So I have to make a decision here with these two tanks here. I've got the two Stugs, whether I'm going to try and risk bringing them across the road and try and take these tanks out, knowing that I've got to kind of risk this alley of death really to try and get them through the thing.
I've only really got one shot though, haven't I?
That's
really, I think it's just the one squad. But it is an ambush situation, isn't it? It is street fighting.
Yes,
potential.
So that's the decision I have to make there. I try and bring on the other gun. I'm going to try and bring up at the top here. You're on the foothills of the hills, aren't you? Really,
but being blasted off as well. Get blasted off as fast as I get there. I thought it was really interesting because I was wondering if you would attempt like a reverse slope defense. Sitting behind with like massive firepower. And like so kind of almost it would become like a standoff, and I could do the same. I could go up to my side and have massive firepower on the hilltop, and then in the final turn, which is mine, all I'd need to do is advance, or you'd have to advance up in your turn, I suppose.
And this is the challenge, isn't it, for the Germans, because you can't do exactly what you want to do, which is sit just behind the hilltop and then wait for them to come on, blast, and then advance onto the hilltop to claim it. Because you can just sit back. So I have to be on the top of the hill. And this is the problem with, I say the problem with this scenario, the difficulty the Germans have. They have to be up front to stop you on the last turn getting on top of that hill. And if you
so you pushed all those vehicles forward that look not particularly valuable, do they? But actually, that gives me a lot of work to do because my infantry is struggling to approach them. I've got one tank on the hill that hasn't got a malfunctioned main armament. And he's basically going to just spend the next few turns just plugging away at them one by one. And you've got really good quality troops. Really good. 10 -3, 8 -3.
This is the ASL Nirvana, isn't it? You've got a 10 -3 leader, you've got a heavy machine gun, and you've got an 838. And that combination, you don't get it very often in ASL. And it's possibly the funnest thing you can do. Pick your targets, don't cower. So for a long time, I had a problem because the 10-3 was actually rallying guys there, and the 838 had the heavy machine gun, and I couldn't work out whether it was correct to fire the heavy first with generally 6 firepower and potential rate of fire, but cowering would mean that I wouldn't get to fire the 8 firepower of the thing. Fire it all. Fire it separately, and every time I chose one, I either lost rate of fire or I cowered anyway, so it didn't quite help. But then finally, like the jigsaw puzzle, you get the 10-3 onto the 838, onto the heavy machine gun, and suddenly it's rainbows. Like you get, it's beautiful. There's, you're getting 6 down 3 shots, and then you get another 6 down 3 shot. Then you're getting.
The horrible thing for me is that while your 10 -3 is busy rallying your troops, I'm desperately trying to get up the hill as quick as possible before he's back in action. But I can't. But these anti-aircraft machine guns, if I get adjacent, that's 6 -2, isn't it? It's all movement is being punished. So I'm kind of pushing. I'm trying to rush, but it was horribly difficult. And I moaned all the way, but in a sense, it's what makes it great, isn't it? That impossible dilemma and difficulty is what makes it a classic scenario, I suppose.
And the thing is, we get so overwhelmed by what's going on in the scenario. So I think we look back on it and it looks like a meeting. But when you're trying to keep everything in your head about what's going on, what's moved, what's not, so at one point I literally hadn't realized, wait a minute, I think it's this guy here underneath the acquisition counter. This guy's got 20 firepower worth of machine guns. A, that I could have probably been taken off and given to the 838s, or B, just driving around and just causing chaos to you guys. And I kind of suddenly realized that. I was like, okay, great. This is, it's got to get as much use as I could. And you kept bringing guys into this kind of middle kind of foresty bit just below the hill. And I was hitting you with 20 firepower there. And I was hitting you with, my bad shots were the 4 down 2s. I was getting 4 down 1s, 4 down 2s. Then I can fire with the 838. And it's great fun because you have good quality troops. and this is arguably ASL at its finest, where you are. It's kind of like you're at this big roast banquet and you've just got everything you can eat, and there's a point where you get a little bit full up. There's a point where you're like, it's starting to hurt now, but I'm kind of, but I've got to finish the dinner. I've got to finish it. And there's bits of gristle left on the plate that you just can't look at anymore. And I got this feeling where I was definitely struggling to finish my dinner. I mean, I'll say that. And so you thinking you were going to win here, or what was you thinking?
No, I wasn't thinking I was going to win. I'm acutely aware that you're probably going to destroy my reinforcements on the trucks.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm doing my best. I was doing my best to get into position to prevent your tanks going down that road, but I'm not hopeful of my chances.
Right.
Although there's a bit of me quite happy about the idea of you moving your tanks away from the victory condition area.
Yep.
As well, so there's a little bit mixed things, but I don't want to lose I don't know, 3 squads or something like that.
Yeah.
And they're really good ones for on that hill, aren't they? With the 6 to 8, they're coming on to fight on that hill at close range.
That's
they?
Right. That's right. That's right. I was kind of trying to weigh up what the value of a tank with mediumly good machine guns, not great machine guns, the Stugs.
Sure.
Against trying to take out those reinforcements, and I kind of figured it was worth the chance, but I did think that I would probably lose this tanks, somehow. But I thought if I can take them out and delay another tank coming in, and one of them survives, then I've got a decent of bringing you around the back and trying to kind of sort that out.
Yeah.
I was very aware though that I have got so little anti-armor. I know I've got Panzerfaust, but so little anti-armor on the hill. If my tanks get taken out, and I've got to be a bit careful about that. And I think that was the risk. We did remember a turn in that the T-34s can't fire with the crew exposed thing, and we fixed a little problem there, which was fine. Moving on.
Yep.
What happened? So the tank did get through. So 2 tanks that I sent around. One got destroyed, but one made it into this position here, which was in bypass. You can't quite see it. It's just out of line of sight here. But I got in place of both the trucks.
And it got the squads out of the game for the remainder of the game. I think.
Exactly.
I think they do run back on, but I don't think they become important.
Yeah, but basically, I took out both trucks. Some survived the crew survival roll. Most were broken. It was pretty devastating. But what you were able to, because I'm in bypass of this this woods, was you were able to bring your tank around and just sit and park behind me. And there's very little I can do here. I will try and attempt to save him, but you've got all the advantages here, and it's not looking good for me. Meanwhile, you're still pushing on the hill.
And, as fast as I go up that hill, you push me down. That's how it felt. I've got quite a lot. You can see lots of DM counters there. There's a lot of broken stuff around.
That's right. My second OBA, the 100mm one, which I think is sitting somewhere in this big stack in the middle, attempts to bring down the OBA, and it ends up just behind him, I think. And this is the one that I think might save me if I can bring it down, because the 100mm will clear out a nice big area, and if I can
even harassing fire is still quite impactful, isn't it?
And I'd harassing fired the previous one, and you pulled out a great rule about not harassing fire not generating hindrances through being fired.
That's right.
Because there's that weird thing about whether it's a concentration or not, and there's this weird words that we'd never really seen in OBA. So a normal OBA is it a concentrated OBA?
Yeah, it's a concentration. Yeah, and a concentration creates a hindrance, but but harassing fire is a different type of fire and doesn't.
Right. So that's what's going on there. As you can see, a lot of the half tracks now getting knocked out by anything that can see it. Basically, is
basically that tank in L7 has been the one that's been doing it. It's taken out 3 of your vehicles, hasn't it? But you've still got the one with 25.
This guy here,
and you've got a few crews knocking about as well.
That's right.
Evidence
but I do have the problem now of every time I get up onto this hilltop. There's enough firepower. You've got the 527s getting close enough now to do it. And it did seem like, you know, I felt for you when you kept saying your 5.27s were where you wanted your 4.47s.
Yes,
to be. It did feel like they were just always quite. It didn't quite work out for you, but you definitely got there, and it was feeling a bit tough for me at this point.
Mounting firepower, isn't it? It's just gradually increasing. It's not decisive, but just slowly like building up.
That's right.
But
that's right.
you know, getting breakers back into it and stuff. It's
that's right. So you took out the tank that had killed your trucks, and it kind of left you with a free rein to bring everything else in and around the hill. It was looking pretty grim at this point for me.
Yeah, and it's quite nice bringing a tank round the back as well. That felt important.
Yeah. The 105 comes on. This is like my last reinforcement, so this is now turn. I think this is turn 8 now, and it's kind of just looking after this relatively large stack here. Now you need it's five hill hexes, isn't it? On 3. So basically, these 5 here is the 5 that I think you're going to go for.
Well, that you say that, but that relatively large group you mentioned in H7, they're specifically building up there to make a run for for J4K5. Right. I mean, I'm not expecting to get one, but at least if you're firing at them, you're not firing at the other 5, I suppose.
Right. So the 20 firepower half track is still here, and you're still feeding guys into it, which is quite nice.
And I've lost the other tank. Well, I've malfunctioned the tank that was taking out the vehicles.
Yes, this one here. This light machine gun, this German light machine gun, is owned by, I think, you here. This is not my squad in the middle there. And you can see that I'm kind of getting overrun at this point. The 10-3 is still on rallying duty. I need to get back in, and every time I seem to bring him back, he's got another job to do, which is awkward. So you're pushing forward now. You're starting to look at the climbing rules, aren't you? You start to this is the
so
climbing.
The thing is, it's if I'm going to take those 5 in the middle, the one at the end 05 actually has a cliff between where most of my troops are. So in order to get it, I need to go into P5 and then into 05. Unless I climb.
So you break out the rule book. We find the climbing, and this 237 here is climbing. We put him like this just to kind of avoid turning counters, but he is climbing. I kind of secure the hill on the right hand side. This feels like it's a little bit safer. The 10-3 is up there with the heavy. And this kind of feels like I've got a bit of line of sight. I'd really like him to be in X5 rather than here in Z4, but it is what it is.
K5, you mean?
Sorry, K5. Thank you. So that's kind of sitting there. The 105, the big stug is trying to keep an eye on you. And, you've ended up having a fanatic squad.
He was actually produced earlier in the game, I think.
Right.
But the whole plan is to charge, however strong that hill looks, to just charge it. On the last, my last chance, my last turn.
And really, all you need to do is, if you are effectively adjacent to it, you're advancing up and winning the game on the last turn. So, but you are, you're coming around the left hand side as well. The 838s do. Oh, we had a big melee here, didn't we? Where I think you missed on a 11, was it? I think something
like that.
Bad roll on this, and the problem was every guy that was breaking in here was dying for failure to route.
That's correct.
Which is problematic for you. So moving on, where do we get to? So this was kind of I think is this the last turn? This might be the last one. I'll know in a second. But everything is up there trying to hold you off. And you're in melee on the hills.
That's right, and I think that's the only victory condition hex I've actually got anybody in.
Right.
I think.
You get a berserk. Okay, I think your conscript here goes berserk.
That's right.
And
it's the perfect use for a conscript. isn't it?
Exactly that. Exactly. So yeah, we have to deal with that, and I think I end up using so much firepower as this guy's running up the hill with the with the heavy and the 10-3 and everything. It's it's a little bit impactful, but again, not hugely. I think you can safely advance to a lot of these areas, and I can't see you. The 237 has managed to climb the next step up and is able to advance off in the next thing. You get into I think you're starting to hit this guy, aren't you? On the left hand side, an R5.
That's right.
So yeah, this is the last photo we've got. Effectively.
Okay. Right. So I think I moved the tank in L7 with a malfunctioned machine gun onto your tank, onto your good order tank on the hill. That sort of effectively takes it out. I can't remember if you take a shot at it or not.
I do. I knock it out because I think we took up.
But you're left with no fire options or whatever.
That's right.
And then it's just a question of rushing all those. Yeah, as you say, advance into 06 or Q6, isn't it? I think.
Yep.
Is it 06? 06. But it's just a question of getting adjacent, really.
Yeah.
Advancing fire shots, surviving the defensive fire.
That's right. Yeah, and we have a bunch of close combats. And I think you win them, but you're expected to win them. There was no problem.
They favour me. That's right. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. And then we had the last one, which is I think you were. Is it a 5-1? I can't remember if you were 5-1.
Okay.
For me to win the game or you to win the game, and of course, which is as should be, you won it with the last dice roll, the last first combat dice roll.
Yeah,
it was good fun. It was good fun. It was so
my memory of it was so much kind of more golden than it felt like at the time, because it did feel like hard work.
It's an incredibly tough scenario. It's definitely like when you take a step back and you've looked at the whole scenario and you're like, okay, that was great fun, but during it, playing the whole thing, it was very, very difficult, wasn't it? It's
personal morale checks in that scenario. I think for both sides, it's just a lot of things go wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We played for 11 hours. I think it was a total of 11 hours. We had a break for lunch. We had a break for dinner, and we
had quite a long break for dinner, I think, as well.
We did, and I think there was like a bit of reticence about we've got to get back to that. Let's have a little chat first, because there was definitely a side of that. So the questions I guess that come out of playing this scenario, the first one really is like, how well do the classics stand up when we look back at them after 30, 40 years, whatever it is? What's your view?
So by the classics, we're thinking specifically of these squad leader rewrites.
I think so. Yeah, I think if we talk about those ones, yeah, and in particular this one, but in terms of
others as well. Yeah, it's because they're so different, aren't they? So and sort of a new journal comes out, or one of the third-party producers brings a new. I'm playing that all day long, really, and this feels like a bit of a treat, like something special to dig out something like Hill 621, but it seems very well designed, but it feels very different to most modern ASL scenarios. But that was a special experience, I think. Yeah. Actually,
How many scenarios do you think nowadays give you the 10-3, the 838, the heavy machine gun to play with?
I'm put off by 838, but by 10-3 leaders in a scenario, because they're just so overpowered.
Right.
They tend to be unbalance scenarios. In modern scenario, if I saw it, I'm not saying I wouldn't play it, but it would be on the negative side.
Right.
I think.
And the good thing about Hill 621 is that 10-3 definitely, of course, has a local impact wherever he is.
Yeah.
But he doesn't impact the whole scenario quite as much because there's so much more going on.
That's right. Yeah.
There is. Yeah. There's a lot of counters to him in terms of like, tanks driving up to him or whatever. He's gonna struggle. Close combat, for example, he might struggle.
Yeah.
But yeah, of course, the 838 combination is. But it's a treat to play with. I mean, I've got to say, it really is.
Yeah.
Like that you don't get many times where you're like, okay, this is this is great. I'm enjoying this.
Yeah. And
However,
you were moaning that he was on rally duty, but he was rallying, wasn't he?
He doesn't mess about. Yeah.
No, he gets right back up there, you lot. And they're off. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And he wasn't building bridges like your last was your 10-2 you had. He was in rumbles.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But so in terms of like the classics, do you think this is something that you would recommend someone to play? And what's your...
Yeah, I don't think I would recommend somebody play it early on, perhaps, because I think it's just too much. When you're still sort of learning the rules and things like that, it's just too much to get your head around. And I don't think you'd enjoy any of the nuance. Not sure whether we get the nuance, but you know what I mean. So, you know what I mean. It's a game with a lot going on. And so, I don't think someone who's new, but someone who had some experience, I think I would recommend it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I would recommend all of them. So, I mean, we talked a little bit about Streets of Stalingrad, didn't we? Which we played a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I don't have a good memory of enjoying it at all.
Right. And so Streets of Stalingrad is the guards counterattack plus the tractor works plus a
played simultaneously plus tanks. Yeah. And it's really big on a very small board.
Yeah.
I mean, is it on a half board?
It's on a half board. Yeah, it's on a half board. It's basically the guards counterattack plus I think 34 Russian squads plus 20 or so German squads plus I think
packed into stone buildings.
6 tanks.
Yeah, that's right. It's I remember we played it in Bournemouth, and I remember being kind of, I don't know, kind of just struggling to really enjoy it. I think, in actual fact, I think that I've never been a massive fan of guards counterattack. I quite like tractor works. I think it's quite a nice little scenario, but putting them together like that just felt dense and hard work.
Yeah.
But other people may feel differently about it, and I wouldn't be surprised if I'm talking about somebody's favourite scenarios. So
yeah, it does feel like they were like too much of a good thing. I think, like, in terms of, okay, you like squad leader? Well, let's throw double the number of counters on it, and let's give you, and it does feel like.
But the reality is, those are the first 3 scenarios in squad leader.
Right.
That's the very beginning. So if it's imperfect, it's because they were developing the game. But
did you
Hill 621?
Did you ever play Hill 621 as squad leader?
I never played Hill 621 as squad leader, but I had played all the Stalingrad ones, and I'd played Hedgehog of Pieps.
Okay. And in terms of the time taken to play those scenarios versus the time taken to play the advanced squad leader versions, do you remember if they were roughly the same?
I think it was simpler. I think all I ever had was the original box of squad leader. I didn't have all the subsequent gamettes that added various rules and things, and I think it was actually simpler. It was like a little book, sort of that thick, like A4 booklet, and you only had to read so much before you could play scenario A. It was almost like a programmed thing, and it played quicker, I think.
Yeah, because this is the thing. I think if you could condense Hill 621 into a 3-hour experience, if ASL was played quick enough that turns were 20 minutes long, and that was it, and then you could get through your 10 turns, in whatever time. This would be incredible.
Half an hour, wouldn't it?
Well, right, but no,
I get what you mean. No, yeah.
No, but in terms of if you played through it though, you would. This would be an incredible experience at 3 hours. If you had that experience as a 3-hour game, having this experience as an 11-hour, 12 hours plus, dinner and all this kind of stuff, it's exhausting. It is exhausting. I mean, there is, I think, you certainly dream of ASL the day after or the night after. It's And you were leaving at, you left at, was it 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning? You were.
Oh yeah.
It was late, wasn't it?
Yeah, I wasn't home till like 2 a.m. or something crazy. Yeah.
But the thing is, I don't get to sleep until 2 o'clock because my mind is racing. Like, after playing a scenario like this, it's you're like buzzing with like what's going on, and there's an ASL dream at the end of it as well. There's always
that's right. Yeah.
There's always that.
I had a friend who said after playing at ASL into the evening, when he goes to sleep at night, he imagines like being in a foxhole and being people like there's Russians or Germans like rushing his position and stuff like that. He wakes up like sort of like terrified. So
it's interesting, isn't it? So yeah, I think if we could, for this particular scenario and these kind of size ones, if we could condense it all the way down to 3-4 hours, it would be incredible. It would be incredible. The time it takes, I think we are mentally fatigued by the end of it, and I don't think it changes in terms of if you split it up into 2 or 3 sessions.
Yeah,
it's still the same mental impact of you know, trying to get through it. So from that perspective, it's massive. I wouldn't recommend new players do it, just because I think if you played it as one of the first scenarios, you'd be thinking, if you thought this was what ASL is about, you would come away and you'd be complaining that, you know, these guys are mad.
Yeah.
They play hundreds of these scenarios a year. This is crazy.
So does that mean that would that put you off playing things that are big altogether? I mean, campaign games, and I mean, I'm slightly put off a little bit by the size of Red Barricades campaign games, actually.
I think for me, the issue is that, you know, in a scenario, you've got that last turn. So you know that everything is kind of coming to a crescendo at that last turn. And so you know that it's all going to be whether it's going to, you know, are you going to make it or not? And this is what it's all about. With a campaign game, that is put a long way away down the line in a way. You've got that, okay, we're going to figure this out in 5 campaign dates time. Let's just make some progress. So the level of intensity in a campaign game, I think, kind of just slowly ramps up as more and more guys come in. With this kind of thing, you've got the crescendo of all right, it's all, you know, it's all building up to this last turn. What have I got left? What have I got to do? I don't want to spoil my chances of winning. I don't want to ruin the scenario by missing something obvious. So I think this is more intense than a campaign game. And I think a campaign game lends itself a bit more to playing it over several sessions.
Yeah, certainly, yeah.
But yeah, I think it's definitely not more than, I don't think I could play this one again for a good few months. I think that would be my.
So would you consider in your lifetime playing like last bid or first bid, like, you know, the absolute monster scenarios?
Yeah,
you would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. Would you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's definitely on the bucket list somewhere. I'm not sure if I'll enjoy it.
I think if both players aren't enjoying it, that's okay.
And they're taking me. I think if they're taking me to the hospital for the last time, and I haven't played one of those, I'll be disappointed.
Could you imagine, like, if you're on death row and your final wish is to play it? You're playing that, aren't you? You're playing the last bit.
Yeah,
we should play it. I think at some point, and maybe that's next year's.
I think it's got to be board. I think, isn't it, face to face
for
the full experience? I mean, it might be easier on Vassal, but it kind of feels, I don't know. That's something to discuss, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah,
but you'd need getting on for a week, wouldn't you? You'd have to sort of go, right, we've got to.
I don't know. I'm going to naively say it's a 3-day scenario. I think you could do it over a tournament, a long tournament weekend, maybe. But maybe that's naive.
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah.
It's interesting. In fact, I'm going to ask you a question, and then I'm going to try and look up the size increment difference between Last Bid and Hill 621 to give us an idea of how big that is. But the question, I think, from your perspective is 621 Hall of Fame worthy, and what makes a Hall of Fame scenario for you?
Okay.
Go on, I'm asking.
So the answer is Hill 621 should go into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Because it is torture to play it all the way through for both sides.
Right.
But when you've completed it, it's like a really memorable experience.
Okay.
And I think that the combination of those two is quite important.
Yeah, that's
it's just it's so difficult to, you know, you can see all these problems. There's so many difficulties to overcome,
right.
and lots of things go wrong. I think that's why I would agree, put it in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and I think it's got to stand out, hasn't it? It's got to be a scenario that has something going on about it that you know, you feel like, okay, what makes the scenario stand out, and not just size, because it's not just
It's not just size, no.
nuance to this one, isn't there? It isn't just like let's throw as many counters as we can. I mean, this is a good test for your counter system, by the way, as well. That's the other thing. You've got to be able to know, all right, I've got enough of these counters, I've got enough of these counters, all this kind of stuff. The last bid is roughly 5 times bigger, four or 5 times bigger in terms of scenario archives estimate.
Do you know what, though? The rules will be much more complex because you've got all of the Stalingrad rules. You'll have, sewers, and you'll have... you have all of the Stalingrad stuff. Trying to remember if that building got a cellar or not. Is that a factory? And this. And of course you've got those like fortified positions, haven't you? Certainly in last bid.
Yeah.
I know the one that came up with not Beyond Valor, the Valor of the Guards.
Was it first bid and last bid? Was that the two?
Yeah, but I can't remember which one is Valor of the Guards and which one is Red Barricades. Right. But the one that came out with Valor of the Guards.
Right.
They've got all those kind of like highly fortified positions where everybody's fanatical inside them and stuff like that.
Let me tell you which one it is.
Okay.
So I think one of the things that has an advantage last bit is that it's fought over a bigger area, isn't it? It's fought over a much larger. Yeah, first bid is the Valor of the Guards scenario. Slightly smaller in terms of time-wise than the first bid. How many times do you think the first bid has been played in Raw?
9.
So nearly 30 times.
Oh wow!
So yeah, it's definitely, it gets play. That's but So the comments on the scenario archive was 20 hours of play for a German win on the first bid. So that's 3 days, isn't it? 3 days, 3 days. And as ASL days goes, I think that's actually 7 hours is actually quite a light day, isn't it? If you go to a tournament and only play 7 hours, what are you doing? What are you doing the rest of your day? I guess you're having a drink and stuff. So the next thing, the follow-on question to this one is big scenario. You've got a whole day of ASL. Like we did. You come around at 10 o'clock. We're going to play till midnight. Are you going to play 3 small scenarios? Are you going to play 2 medium-sized scenarios? Are you going to play 1 large scenario? What's your preference?
Do you know what? It's one of these things where I quite like a Chinese takeaway sometimes, but sometimes I like an Indian. I don't know that I can quite straightforwardly say. I think I would be inclined to middle, medium, or big. I do quite enjoy small scenarios, but they don't create anything like the same sense of satisfaction. I think they're just fun. They're like like a little, like somebody telling you a little joke or something like that, rather than going to the whole comedy show. You know, and it's an interesting simile, wasn't it? I don't know where that came from. So I think you need a bit of meat. So I'd go medium. Probably more than half the time. But I definitely go for a biggie occasionally.
That's interesting. So the reason why I don't like the idea of playing 3 small scenarios, if you lose 3 games in a day, you go home feeling a bit sad.
And everyone asks you, don't they? How'd you get on? Did you beat? Did you win? No.
What about the other one?
Did you play?
No. And it can happen with small scenarios, as we know, dice can be bad to you. You can play badly, whatever. I mean, it happens.
You've got to do a big one because then you can only lose once, can't you?
And that's kind of the nice feeling about it in a way. That we just lost. Okay, I lost on the last dice roll. I mean, there was never a chance of winning it. There's that. So I don't know. Yeah, two mediums. I think is probably my preference, mainly because what I've realised I love about ASL is you pick up a scenario card, you know nothing about the scenario, and there is so much story to be told about the scenario. This one is a bridge defense where you're falling back over a bridge and your tanks coming on the right hand side to try and whatever it is. This one is a hill attack where you're fortified with wire and minefields or whatever. And it's just the story that you pick up from one page, and so I like that. And Hill 621 obviously has that in scenarios like that, but it only has one narrative. It's an amazing scenario. It's got lots of nuance. It's got this, that, and the other. Popcorn scenarios, right down to the small kind of size ones, where you can kind of take it. They're kind of like it's less than a novella, isn't it? It's less than a short story. It's it's an anecdote compared to your.
I think it's almost like a kind of if a mate's popping over on a Sunday evening and you've all got work. Not that I ever have work on Monday morning, but yeah, and you've got work Monday morning. You're all going to have to be up. So you want to play something that's going to take a couple of hours, maybe 3 hours to set up, to draw the counters out.
Nice.
Yeah, Nick Ranson used to come over occasionally on Sunday nights. And we'd play something quite modest. Yeah.
And that's there are definitely scenarios that are perfect for that kind of thing, and that's the beauty of the system, isn't it? If you've only got 3 hours to play, then absolutely play a scenario and see and make sure.
And do you know what I really enjoyed? Do you know those little scenarios that they printed in a journal back a bit, came with the map and everything?
Yeah.
I played one of those against Nick, and it was a really enjoyable scenario. I can't remember which one it was now.
They're the pocket scenarios, are they?
Yes, yeah.
The pocket ones, yeah.
Absolutely perfect.
Well, I mean, there we go. That's that was Hill 621. That's the big one. Big thanks to patrons. We have a new patron, by the way, Kevin Mellon. Apologies if I've pronounced your name obviously wrong.
Thanks, Kevin.
Yes, Kevin, thank you. We appreciate your support. You'll have access to the funky things on the Scenario Archive, and obviously, if you want to join in the patron tournaments later on, please do. For those that are not in the tournament and you want to take part in effectively what we did last time, I enjoyed seeing everybody else's version of One Story Town. If you want to play Steamroller, please feel free to send us a log file. We will showcase it alongside the tournament ones as well. So if if you're thinking about something to play at your local club or whatever it is, if you're stuck for a game to play, please consider Steamroller. We would love to talk to you about that and find out what your thoughts are. It's always nice to see someone else's view of a scenario, isn't it?
I love it when people have played them very, very differently, and when we go through them and you kind of think, right, that's obviously how you play this scenario, and then suddenly you got somebody who's done it very differently. It's
exactly. I think you and I are not able to make Blackpool this year now, so I think it's going to be the Joe Arthur Memorial Tournament, and I don't think we can make it. I'm 90% certain now I can't do it. But just I've got a crazily busy March. I know you've got lots of stuff on as well, Martin. So hopefully we'll be back at Blackpool in November, and we'll be at Double One potentially. I'm on holiday right before it now, so I've got to make sure I get back in time. But I think I'm okay. Other than that, we are going to play. We are going to play the blind scenario next. It's the blind playing the blind, as it were. Are you excited about that?
I am excited. Yeah.
Good. All right. Until then, we haven't got our Twilight of the Reich yet. I know yours might come in June. Mine's on order. Yeah, mine's on order. So I'm awaiting my one. But until then, Martin, thank you for the game. We had a good time. It was good to.
Do we need to read out the? Are we going to read out?
Oh, you wanted? Yeah. Go for it. We want. Yes, please do the tournament first round. Yes, this is
okay. Yeah. I thought that's what we were doing. Yeah.
Tell people how you did it as well, because it's important the process.
Right. So, I got this from being a teacher. So I got one of this sort of circle thing, and I typed all the names in, and you click it, and it spins round, and then it goes really slow. So it was way slower than we could. And it lands on, and then it's a round of applause. It's picked a name and removes the name. Anyway, it was childish. So. I will also email all of these people so that anyone who hasn't seen this will know what they're doing. And of course, I'll email with email addresses so people can contact their opponent. And this game, I guess we'll play this by the end of March. We'd be saying, yeah. Okay. So Richard Webb was the first name that came out, and he is playing Andy Bagley. Steve Slunt versus Dave Ramsey. Tuomo Lucari versus Paul Legg. Stephen Hall v Mike Grogan. Jim Bishop v Martin Barker. A bit of a grudge match there, I think. Tom Rapetti versus Doug Leslie. Peter Albrecht versus Ryan Dukeman. Dave Maresk v Tim Reed.
Some big names that might go out in the first round there. There's some
Well, I think it's inevitable because some of the big names are playing each other.
Exactly.
Or some of them anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Not Jim. Jim should be all right.
Jim's all right. Yeah, he's going to be fine.
He'll be through to the second round.
So we will figure out a prize. Again, thank you to last year's prize donation, Jim Bishop. Peter got his copy of the Darks pack. He was patron that won from a couple of episodes ago, and obviously we got Ian to do the diorama as well.
We should also say that this is a straight knockout, in the sense that so everybody plays the first round. The people that win go on to the second round. But what we're going to do is offer people who have gone out in the first round, if they want to continue, we'll match them up with somebody else who's lost.
Yeah.
And you can shadow the main tournament. I think last year quite a lot of people did.
Yeah. And it gives us more games, doesn't it? It gives us more games to highlight.
It gives us more games, and it's nice. I mean, I was knocked out at perhaps the second round or whatever. It was nice to remain a part of the process to some extent.
Good stuff.
Yeah,
good stuff. Okay. All right. Well, thank you again, Martin, for coming over, and we had a good time. And let us know your thoughts. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. So let us know your thoughts if you played Hill 621. Let us know your thoughts about big scenarios versus little scenarios, whether it's Hall of Fame worthy. And all that kind of stuff. Really, should we play last bid? Should we play first bid? Which one is the?
Tell us what to play. We'll do it next year.
next year's episode, the one episode.
Yes.
All right. Stay tuned for an update on. We will give some notification as to when the live thing will be. We'll post that, I guess, on the Game Squad forum. And we will try, or we might even put a video out to say this is when the next.
Do a little announcement video.
Yeah, just so that everyone who does follow and wants to, because it would be great for people to come along for their episode 100. Does the announcement video count as an episode 100? I don't know. That's awkward if it stumbles into.
No, it does. It doesn't, because we've had announcement videos before that don't get a number.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Just as long as the arbiter's okay about that, I don't mind. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Take it easy, Martin. Thanks very much. Thanks, everyone.
Cheerio,
Thanks
everybody.
for the patrons. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.